This episode of Sideline Warning is brought to you by Roosport, makers of the original magnetic running pouch. Whether you're biking, running, hiking, or even traveling, the Roosport clips to your waistband with magnets for an easy, convenient way to carry what you need without the bulk of belts or bags. Visit theroosport.com and use the code SIDELINE30, all lowercase, for 30% off their entire product line. Again, that's theroosport.com, promo code SIDELINE30. And now on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sideline Warning, the show where sports takes are sure to go way too far into the field. Here to recap this week's biggest and best sports stories are your hosts, Dave Adams, Ben Foster, and Adam Russell.
And everybody, welcome into Sideline Warning. As always, you've got the one, the only, the golden voice of the Southeast, Dave Adams, coming to you live and in living color from Harvest, Alabama, the top of the state of Alabama, because, you know, I'm always on top of everything. And this week, we have brought him back. Hollywood, Ben Foster. What's going on, Ben?
Here I am, Dave. I am trying to stay warm, but it is pretty frigid.
Man.
It is pretty frigid outside. It is the
frozen tundra. I saw something today that Madison, Alabama was colder than hell.
The city of Michigan?
Hell, Michigan. And really, it was below freezing there, so hell hath officially frozen over.
There you go.
There you go. Ben, are you recovered from your jet setting because you took a little trip this weekend, didn't you?
I did take a little trip over the weekend. I got to visit the lovely town of Waco, Texas.
You know what Waco stands for, right?
No, why don't you inform me?
We ain't coming out. Remember David Koresh?
Oh, all right. Too soon. Too soon.
Too soon. That was the early 90s, man.
Too soon. Too soon.
All right. As always, we do have our other friend all the way from the House of Mouse, from Zellwood, from Williamsburg, from Wedgefield, from Vineland, from Yeehaw Junction, from South Opopka, from Taft, from Tangelo Park, from St. Cloud, the phenomenal brother, Adam Russell.
How you doing, guys?
We are well. Adam,
Go ahead.
Did I get a good area, or was I just all over the map today?
You were all over the map, but you were handling the back end of the alphabet, the Z's and the D's. So you're good on that one. That actually helped because you had the L's last week. Now you've got the end of the alphabet. But it's 46 here right now. Can I officially say it's cold?
Shut up.
Can I say it's cold? But because in 2 days it's going to be 72 again. I don't know if that counts as really I can say it's cold, but we're cold. We feel cold.
Well, you know what? I hope that in 3 weeks it's not that kind of weather, because I actually need I'm not used to running in cold, so I don't need it to be cold when I'm running the half marathon with you and Blair.
All the reason to go out and practice now, Dave.
No, don't train too much when it's colder. If it's hot, you'll slow down. Not that we're incredibly fast to begin with. Oh, but I'm just saying.
I think I said it last year, and I'm going to say it again. To quote Baymax, I am not fast.
No.
So normally it's just the three of us. But last week, this guest that we have on, it's like Beetlejuice. When you invoke his name, he shows up. I invoked the name of C.J. Watson. And lo and behold, CJ, you're with us, man.
Poof. What's up, guys?
What's up?
And you didn't even have to say it 3 times.
CJ Watson, CJ Watson, CJ Watson. Ooh.
And here I am.
So first off, welcome back, CJ. We had you on for the Jalen versus Tua debate, and we saw how that ended.
Yes, I won.
But, you know, you are along the same lines as Ben Foster when it comes to basketball. And so we thought it would be fun.
You mean level-headed?
Sure.
Reasonable?
Reasonable.
Right. We thought it would be fun to possibly have a little debate over how things are now, how they stand. And so we're going to have CJ and Ben versus Dave and Adam.
Sound.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So, but first off, we do have a little football to talk about. We're recording this on a Wednesday night, and this just came out this afternoon. Somebody was actually interviewing former Alabama running back Josh Jacobs about what went wrong for the Alabama Crimson Tide against Clemson. Josh Jacobs actually came out and said the team was mentally fatigued. Do the three of you guys accept that?
I mean, I don't hate it, but I can assume yes that was the case. But championship team should overcome that. But I don't doubt it, dude. We had to play a tough Oklahoma team. We had to play a tough game in the SEC championship. So I can imagine that there was some of that. But I don't know that I would lay the entire failure in the national championship game at the feet of being fatigued mentally.
Well, I think it's a reasonable explanation because, Dabo has been there before, but this was Saban's first national championship. Wait.
Shut up.
Wait,
No.
Saban's been to there before. Why did Saban have the team mentally fatigued?
So is this a Saban thing or is this a young team thing?
It's the head coach's job to have the team not be fatigued. They weren't mentally fatigued last year when they were younger. Tua was younger. Jerry Jeudy was younger. Devontae Smith was younger. Everybody was younger last year. They weren't mentally fatigued then.
So the quote that he says, honestly, I know it might sound cliche or anything like that before the game. I could feel it was going to be a rough one. That's how it was in the locker room. And somebody asked him, so why did you feel that way? He said, I don't know. Just young players trying to feel the vibe of big games, but being able to play so long after a certain amount of time, it's kind of wears on you, especially when you play great teams week in and week out. You get everybody's best shot. It kind of wears on you. I think the team was just mentally fatigued. For the most part, I think people were just fatigued. Jacob said, what people don't understand is Saban is actually kind of funny, and he's a player's coach. And he went on to say that he was trying to be funny in the locker room. So, Ben, you possibly might have your finger on the pulse of this.
Maybe he should have been funnier.
Was Nick Saban the problem here?
There's nothing to do now but fire Saban.
See, Saban himself came out. Saban himself came back with a quote at one point in the last week or two, I believe, where he was saying that he didn't feel like the coaching staff ever really came together, and that it wasn't a player-focused experience to be on the team this year like it has been in the past. So I think that might have had something to do with it too. But at the end of the day, and I'm gonna get it for this, and I'm looking at you, Dave, when I say this because I can just imagine the look on your face. But I believe it was Nicholas J. Saban himself in October that said, don't pay too much attention to the pretty convertible and the pretty girl driving it when the tires are bald and there's oil leaking in the car. That our offense was so flashy and so fantastic that nobody was talking about the problems we were having on
defense.
There you go.
So wait, Adam. Can you say those?
No, because I agreed with you. I agreed with you back then. I was on your side on that back then.
No, you didn't. You said that I was way out of my rocker for saying that our defense was failures. You said that
failures, yes. But look, we didn't live up to the task on the field, man. They owned us. 110% owned. Okay? So I think that the defense wasn't prepared. But you put it at the same time, though, that Clemson only has to prepare for Pitt and Notre Dame. They get all of that time to watch. And our weak schedule, and yes, I'll say it, our relatively weak schedule that we had to play let us fall into tendencies that they exploited because they had all of that time to prepare for nobody but us. And they've said themselves they did that. So I agree. Mental fatigue, yeah, okay, I can understand that being part of it. But they had lots of time to prepare, and we were not ready on defense for a team like that this season. So I'll agree with whatever I said before, Dave. If I said something different, I apologize for misstating the record. I'm agreeing with you now.
Can you just say the words? You haven't said the words.
I am agreeing with you now.
I want you to say, Dave, you were right.
I'm agreeing with you now.
CJ, you're quiet over there, buddy. What say you on all this?
That sounds like a cop-out almost. I would say that's a small portion of the problem that happened in that game. If I were to give my 2 cents worth, for the world to hear, which I'm doing now, I would say that I think the coaching staff half of them having one foot out the door has a whole lot more to do with the preparedness of our team. And when you look on the opposite side of the field, the preparedness of their team, Clemson, they've got a, I think you brought it up a few podcasts ago, that I had mentioned that there were, in the past 5 years, Clemson has had 2 assistant coaches in their turnover, or two turnovers in their coaching staff in the last 5 years. Yep. Alabama's had about 20. And if you look back at the championship games that the past 5 years, or just the playoffs in general, I think it shows when you get to the end of the season that every year Alabama is dealing with so much turnover, coordinators leaving for head coaching jobs, other position coaches leaving to become coordinators at other schools. And when you're preparing for the biggest game of the year against the which would be against the other best team in the country aside from us, and you've got assistant coaches pulling double duty,
it's too much.
I think it's a bigger deal for the coaching staff than it is for the players in terms of them just not having their head in the game. How can a coaching staff whose heads aren't in the game get a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old kids' heads in the game?
Yep, I agree.
I think that plays a much bigger role than mental fatigue. I think maybe it's the coach's mental fatigue more so than the players.
Yeah, I wish I could say something that you're wrong, that you're looking at it wrong, but I 100% agree with you.
Say it, Dave.
Okay, CJ, you were right. You are correct on this situation.
We are off to a really good start. Are any of you guys surprised at who is saying all of this, that it's coming from Josh Jacobs? Here's a guy that you haven't heard too much out of, and he seems to be a pretty no-nonsense guy, make your statement on the field type of guy, and always wanting to prove it. That's kind of the profile I've always gotten of Josh Jacobs, and now he's being outspoken like this. It just seems very strange to me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm heading into the draft like he is, if I want to start talking about how having mental fatigue after 13, 14 games when you're heading into a league that plays a much longer schedule than that.
And he had a pretty good game.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what his final stat line was, but quite honestly, Alabama would have been in better shape if they had used him in the Wildcat more. I think he proved his versatility and did no damage to his draft stock.
Yeah, in fact, I think he helped his draft stock tremendously there. But I'm with you, Adam. I don't think this is the right step for a kid who is out there trying to make his name known in the NFL draft. Some people have had him as high as a top 10 draft pick. But this might be something that teams are going to look at and say, wait a second, why is he coming and being outspoken now when for the most of his career, he's been a quiet guy? Is this something that we're seeing a flaw in his system right now? So I don't know. I don't know. But overall, something was seriously wrong with Alabama in the national championship game, and we know that. But real quick, I know we didn't talk about this in the pre-show meeting, and I'm going to throw this at you. Today, 2 possible names have showed up who could possibly be on campus as analysts next year. CJ, I don't think you've heard about this. I know one of the names shocked me that Ben texted it to me and Adam's group. But Mike Stoops for sure is coming on campus, we think, as a defensive analyst. And Ben, you say that the one motorcycle driving man himself, Bobby Petrino, is headed to Tuscaloosa, possibly?
It's definitely out there in the rumor mill. And, we also heard that Hugh Freeze was coming on as an analyst last year.
That's true.
Now, granted, it's a slightly different set of circumstances with those two guys, but still, sometimes people just want to stir the pot and put names out there. And sometimes coaches come to visit Saban and they don't have the intention of staying in town. So it would not shock me, though, if the Saban Home for Rehabilitated Coaches brought in somebody like Bobby Petrino.
But let me ask you, is that part of the problem? are we so focused now on this like orphanage for disbanded coaches that we've started to create that we're losing sight of the real reason that we hired him in the first place? I know he's got – we talked the other day, right? We talked about legacy in the process, and I talked it on my sideline report. But how much time and effort is being spent on all of this analyst work and all of this other stuff? Did that show up a little bit in the national championship game?
Possibly.
Is that part of the reason? I mean, it just feels like we're spending so much time on this and bringing in so many people that if it created depth, if the analysts we had at the time of last season created depth that we then brought along and hired from and promoted from, I would be all for it. How many of those analysts have a better job now than they did when they were analysts at the beginning of the season?
Mike Loxley. Loxley was an analyst who then became our OC.
And where did he go?
Who is now the head coach at Maryland.
So let's find some guys that are going to stay and quit.
No, look, these guys are getting
Steve
paid.
Sarkisian.
These guys are used to getting paid millions of dollars, and they're taking these analyst jobs for $30,000 just to see if they can like figure out some of the Saban secret sauce.
But to be jettisoned one day, it's not creating anything for us. It's not doing anything for the program.
How do you know
so that they can
that?
So that they can get a little Saban stamp, like Cabbage Patch Kids had that little signature on their butt, right? They can get Saban stamp, boom,
Booty.
right on their butt. I've
Booty.
been taught by the best, and then they just go somewhere else.
Do you honestly think if bringing on analysts distracted Saban from winning a national championship, that he would do it?
It did last season. That's my point.
No.
We won a national championship. We've won multiple national championships with Saban doing this analyst system, and we have one loss to Clemson, and we want to pick at all of the smallest things and go, this is the reason why.
Yes, you know why?
Because you don't know the real reason we lost.
It's mental fatigue. We do know the real reason.
It's mental fatigue. That's exactly what it is.
And we have Dave reading the book. That's usually my job.
Can I come in now?
We're getting these coaches for pennies on the dollar because almost every one of these analysts has been let go from a previous job.
Exactly.
So
they're getting paid from
making $30,000. They're getting paid from their other job, and all they're doing is giving input.
So what input is Butch Jones given?
Running backs.
Really?
Yeah, he helped with the running backs last year.
We needed that. Come on, Dave. Tell me we needed that.
Well, a lot of these guys.
Tell me what Major Applewhite's going to do. What do we need?
Major Applewhite's not on campus. He's not there yet. He will. He probably will.
Any of the names. Pick an analyst other than Mike Loxley. I'll give you him. Pick one and tell me what we needed from them.
Steve Sarkisian. He's back.
We needed an OC for one national championship game. Hey, wait a minute. We lost that national championship game, didn't we?
But he's now back as our OC, Adam.
Just saying.
So another name that I heard, and this is one that is finally happening. I saw it on his Twitter today. We know that Sal Sinceri is back as our linebackers coach. We know that Vinny Sinceri is coming back as a graduate assistant. Hey, we're just bringing the whole family because Tino Sinceri has now said that he is leaving Tennessee and he's coming to Alabama to possibly help with, because he was a quarterback, so he'll possibly help with the offense. So I like it. The Sinceris are great people, and they can coach.
You know what they say, the more the Sincerier.
Wow.
Ben, of four of us on this show, you're the only non-father. How are you making the dad jokes?
It's what I do.
Oh, my gosh.
So is this a good thing? I mean, was Tino Sinceri really that good of a quarterback at Pitt that we're bringing him on to coach Tua Tagovailoa?
We're bringing on literally everybody else, Dave. Why not?
Clearly, this is a sign that Saban has lost control and is not focused on winning. That's what it is. It's pretty conclusive now. If you need three Sinceris to win a championship, you're focused on the wrong things.
Wow.
He might as well be coaching the basketball team.
That's
might as well be. All right. Before we get into that, Adam, we do have to talk about our wonderful sponsors, the Roo Sport. We don't want to talk about basketball yet because Roo Sport wants to make their product known.
Do you know why I like the Roo Sport, Dave?
Why do you like the Roo Sport, Adam?
Because it's a product where I can just throw in what I need to go take a run It doesn't make me have mental fatigue. I don't have to think a lot about what I'm going to take with me because I know it fits in the Roost Sport. I know the Roost Sport clips to my waistband, and I can perform my best on race day without the mental fatigue of trying to plan with a bag or a belt or whatever else I might have to take.
Yeah, and you don't have the mental fatigue of thinking, man, I've got to carry all my keys in this pocket. I've got to put my wallet in this pocket. It just goes all in that Roost Sport pouch.
And it'll hold anything you need. It's almost roomy enough to hold all of the analysts on Alabama's football payroll. Almost.
I think it's roomy enough to hold all of Alabama's basketball championship trophies.
Oh, I definitely know it's roomy enough.
Yeah, it is roomy enough for that. Probably roomy enough to hold all of Alabama's elite coaching staff. None?
Nothing? No, okay, nothing on that one. Okay.
Nothing? Okay.
I thought you were going to get something there, but oh well.
But seriously, guys, you've heard us talk about this every week. We even think that it's great for stuff other than running. Ben has bought one, and he's not what we would call a normal runner. Ben, you do
what
run
is that
every
supposed to mean?
No. You said that you do run every now and then, but you use it for things other than running. You've used it to go to festivals. You've used it to walk your dog. It's a great product.
You don't have to use the Roost Sport just to go running. It is there whenever you don't want to have a ton of junk in your pockets. If you've got your keys, your phone, any of that stuff, if you want to have cards, like think about how easy it is, like when you don't want to carry your wallet, to put a card in your pocket and then lose that card. You don't want to do that. The Roost Sport keeps it right there on your hip, takes care of everything, and keeps it safe.
Yep, and you go to www.theroostsport.com. Use the promo code Sideline30. That's all lowercase, and the number 30 is the 30. Use that promo code, and you get 30% off your entire order. That's the pouch. You could get the little power banks. You could get the Roost Sport Lounger, which is awesome. I might even throw it in my checked-on luggage to fly down to Orlando and maybe lay in one and just chill after the Princess Marathon. Which
we still are waiting on the demonstration video of you inflating the Roo Lounger, Dave.
I will.
Just FYI.
I know. I will do it.
And I think we have to introduce CJ to the product too. I don't know if you've been able to get one or use it for anything, CJ. But you look like a great Roost Sport customer.
I'm going to take advantage of the Sideline 30, and I'm going to get me one. Y'all have made me believers.
There you go. Beautiful.
That's what we're here for.
Well, one thing that CJ and Ben have not made me and Adam believers of is the upward trajectory of this Alabama basketball team. Ben showed me and Adam a graph last night. I believe, was it from Ken Palm?
No, that was from Haslametrics, another one of my favorite websites.
And you said, Ben, Adam, Dave, what's the trajectory of this website, of this graph? And for, I'd say 90% of it was upward. But you were wanting me to look at it. And what did I say, Adam? From January 24th to now, it was downward, wasn't it?
I believe so.
So
the slope was downward.
The slope was downward because Adam, being the math guy, told us that a line cannot have a trajectory.
Technically speaking, it has a slope.
Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
But before we get into the team,
and this is my point. You guys want to cherry pick the worst things and not look at the big picture. If you look at the big picture of the season, Alabama has been trending upward all season long.
And I agreed with you though, Ben. I said it was overall upward. It started out great, it flattened in the middle, and it's picked up since then. That kind of tells the story of the season, right? But we've got to stay consistent. So I don't want to jump ahead, Dave.
I know.
I don't want to jump ahead. I'm going to back off and let you continue the conversation because I almost got started.
You almost did. I was ready for it.
It was coming.
I was ready for it. But before we get into this great debate, like I said on the pre-show, I invoked the name of C.J. Watson and something that he wrote on his Facebook after the Tennessee-Alabama game. I'm going to open the floor to C.J. First off, I'm going to lay the groundwork. If anybody didn't listen to the show where me and Adam talked about it last week, we talked about the Alabama-Tennessee game. And the point I made was I used CJ as an example, but I heard a lot of other Alabama fans say this, is the phantom traveling call, which really was a travel. If you watch it again, the phantom traveling call was what cost Alabama the game. No, shooting 40% from the free throw line is what cost Alabama the game, not the referees. CJ, the floor is yours. Back up your point to why you think it was the refs that cost Alabama the game.
Let me put it this way: that the phantom traveling call decided the game. That because that was to be the last possession. The refs decided the outcome of the game with that call on that play. Now, I don't want to diminish the horrendous free throw shooting in that game because it was terrible, but and there's a lot of things that go into it, and part of one of the things I wanted to bring up about that particular call was it's part of a much bigger picture of what this is going to sound funny, conspiracy theory-esque, but the referees, and this is not a crimson-colored glasses thing, by the way, and I'll explain it further. The referees wanted Tennessee to win that game, and it had nothing to do with Alabama. Hold on. I'm going to explain. I'm going to back it up. This has nothing to do with Alabama or being anti, where I think the refs are out to get Alabama. If you go and look at the first 10 minutes of that game, the officiating was – you can have a seat, Dave. The officiating was horribly slanted in the favor of Tennessee. And the reason I say this, I've coached and played on different levels of basketball, and I've seen where referees are to impact a game. And the whole reason I bring this up is I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. It seemed like the referees wanted to officiate Tennessee and to them to play well to win the game. The being number 1, 2 had a lot earlier in the week. If Tennessee wins this game, what happens?
They're not number 1.
They moved to number 1. Has there been another team in the SEC besides Kentucky in the last 4 or 5 years that has been number 1 in the AP? Not one other team other than Kentucky. It would look good for the SEC to have another team be number 1 in the nation. And to think that the referees were not in some way instructed to sort of help that along, man, that stuff happens. It wasn't, and I say that to say it's not an anti-Alabama thing. I'm not approaching it as a conspiracy theory that they just don't want Alabama to win. No, they wanted Tennessee to win because it helps the conference. It makes the conference look good when another team can ascend to number 1 in the rankings. When we're a football conference, not a basketball conference, it helps us look good to have somebody other than Kentucky be number 1. And I think that had a lot to do with how that game was called from start to finish. And if you look at the start of the game, and by the way, it was not a travel.
Oh my gosh, CJ. How many pivot foots is he going to have?
Well, you are allowed to pick up your pivot foot when you put the ball on the ground.
But then you pick up your other pivot foot, and he had 2 pivot foots. It is not possible. He traveled.
No, he put the ball on the ground.
Oh.
The only, and I've gone back and watched it. I've shown this to non-Alabama fans, people who hate Alabama. Even in Tuscaloosa, for some reason, I work with a lot of people that don't like Alabama, and every single person that I've shown it to said, "Yeah, y'all got robbed on that call." And because I tried to say, "Am I looking at this wrong?" And I videoed it because my cousin did not watch it, and they wanted to see it. So I videoed the last play, like I had it on the DVR, took my phone, recorded it, so I could send it to him. I thought, man, I'm going to look at this close, and I zoomed in play. I zoomed in on the feet and the ball. He put the ball on the ground. When his foot comes up, the ball is coming back up into his hand when that pivot foot comes off the ground. The ball is coming off of the ground into his hand. It wasn't a travel.
Okay, well.
That being said, I'm not saying the referees called Alabama the game. I'm saying referees decided the outcome of the game with that play. Alabama could have done more to win the game. I'm not debating Alabama could have done more to win the game. I'm saying the referees decided the game with that call. That's what I'm saying.
That's all in the same. Cost Alabama the game through the game. It's the same thing.
No. Saying Alabama could have won the game with more free throws. That's not the point I'm making. I'm saying that when it came down to a possession, the referees decided the outcome of the game.
Okay. Well, we will agree to disagree on this.
They didn't because they did not let the possession play out.
Once they made that call, Dave, made that call, it was impossible for Alabama to win the game.
I agree with that. But what made the game impossible? Alabama shouldn't have even been in that situation. If Alabama had made just 50% of their free throws, that situation wouldn't have been in place. So to say that the referees gave the game to Tennessee, yeah, they made some bad calls. There were bad calls on both sides of the ball. But what caused Alabama to be in that situation is shooting 44.4% from the free throw line.
So what you're saying, Dave, to put it a little bit differently.
I'm not debating that.
Yeah. So to put it a little differently, Dave, you're saying that Alabama gave the refs the opportunity to seal the game with a call, and we should be above that and better than that.
Right.
And actually make easy shots to do that, to prevent that from happening. Yeah.
They're called free throws for a reason.
Now Dave's being the old get off the lawn guy.
Well, yeah,
that is like a classic old guy go-to. They're called free throws. They're free.
The way I've been taught is if the game is close enough that the referee can choose the outcome of the game, can decide the outcome of the game, then the referee is not at the fault. You could have done something in the first or second half before the final 3 seconds of the game to change that outcome.
So, Dave, let me ask you, hypothetically, if Alabama had shot 100% from the free throw line, but it was still a tight game, would you have thought the refs decided the game at that point?
If we had done everything in our power and it was still a close game and the ref made a controversial call at that point in time, yes, I would be saying the same thing that CJ is saying right now. But that is a moot point because Alabama did not do everything in their power.
Well, I just want to know what the standard is where you would have some issue with the ref.
If Alabama had done everything in their power, yes, I would have been upset.
It's like we talked about last week, even in our wins. And when we talk about I don't know if we're digging into the state game after this or not, but even in our wins, there's always a hole. We could be dominant. We could have beaten Mississippi State by a buttload, but we made one 3-pointer. Come on.
But it's a win.
We made one 3-pointer.
Well, but that actually is a positive to me because we scored 80 points without the aid of 3 points.
Yeah, but it's the same conversation.
We
just spent an entire football season talking about, oh man, we only scored 45, and now you've jumped on the bandwagon of, hey, we scored 80 against Mississippi State. Now you sound like a basketball apologist. There's a gaping hole in our team every single game. We either don't hit from the floor, we don't hit from the arc, or we don't hit from the stripe. It's always something. And even when we win, we could be dominant. And we're going to have to be dominant to impress folks enough to make it in the round of 64. Well, if we're going to sit here and be consistent the rest of the year,
Adam,
we're going to have to make a splash.
If you want to talk about impressive, how about 2 top 25 wins in the last 3 games?
I'm not denying that at all. What I'm saying is that we've got to put all 3 categories together consistently, because if another team does that, because Mississippi State only made 3 out of 19 from 3-point land. So, if they would have hit more of theirs, we'd have lost. And then we'd be having the same conversation that, Alabama didn't make enough 3-pointers, and that's why we lost.
I'll point to the LSU game where Alabama lost. And I said if LSU had not gotten absurdly hot from 3-pointer and shot more than their season average, Bama would have won the game. And you guys, you can't have those ifs. You can't make up ifs excuses. Well, now Alabama's got to win, and you're giving if excuses for when we're winning. like you guys are never going to be satisfied. You're never going to be happy with something, even when we come out and dominate a team like Ole Miss. And when we play a game down the stretch where it gets tight, And we struggle against a team like Mississippi State that's a good team, a tournament team, and we get the win. We get the quality win, and you guys have still got to nitpick and find all the problems. Why can't you enjoy it?
It's not that I'm not enjoying the win against Mississippi State. What I'm saying is that the next game, who do we play next? Who wants to tell me?
It's Auburn.
Auburn.
Let's try making one 3-pointer in the whole game against Auburn and see how that game goes. We might end up winning, especially if they can't hit a 3-pointer either.
Alabama got it out of their system. They got it out of their system.
Nice. It's the same thing that I was talking about with the graph conversation over text. We started off hot. We kind of flattened out. We picked up again. But since then, we dropped one to Baylor. We beat Ole Miss. We beat Mississippi State. We'll lose to Auburn. And it's just back and forth. We're trading a win for a loss. We've got to put all categories of our stats and our performance together to make sure that we can win more SEC games. I'm happy we beat Mississippi State. But there's just obviously something that is not happening. It's either at the 3-point line or it's at the free throw line. Let's just put it all together as one team, and then we don't have to worry about the if then. It's going to be we put our best effort out there and we just didn't win. So I mean, you got to stop giving a guy like Dave excuses to nitpick. But if they could just hit and just put their best game out there, then I think you're going to get a lot of this fog stuff, out of the way.
Well,
there's always something.
Regardless of what the refs did in the Tennessee game, Alabama has played decent basketball the last few games, including the Tennessee game. CJ,
Yeah.
what do you think about what Bama's done in the last 4 games?
I think it's great, and I hate. Well, I think it's great. Baylor was that was an enigma of a game, but one interesting thing, and to your point, Adam. It's always one thing per game that we struggle with. The good thing is that thing is rotating around. It's not always free throws. It's not always pointers. It's not always this. It's not always that, which means that there's adjustments being made. When there's some sort of a deficiency found in what the game, and it seems to be corrected. Basketball is a little different. There's all kind of ebbs and flows that go on. And if you find a game where you're cold from the throw and you better make up for it in other places. And Alabama's done a pretty good job of that. For example, Mississippi State, we were terrible from 3-point range, but we managed to make up for it in other areas, come out with a win. In Tennessee, we weren't able to overcome the free throw shooting. But hey, it was to the number 1 team in the land on their floor. So, and we almost won the game.
So wait. Are we happy with almost winning the game? Or is that where we're at? I'm going to say it like I said it last week. We're the Auburn football of basketball. Alabama basketball is Auburn football. We are so proud that we almost won the number 1 team in the country's court. We're so proud that we have this moral victory, that we had a bad free throw shooting game, but we almost beat Tennessee. That's where Alabama basketball is now.
Here we go. Dave is bringing football comparisons in to try to explain basketball. And once again, you're comparing apples and orange. Auburn orange.
And the point wasn't being happy with almost winning at Tennessee, because I'm not happy about losing that game. The point was where Alabama almost won that game, and the problem that they had in that game, and the next adjustments were made, we did a lot better in that area and beat the pants off of a ranked team. Where Alabama is struggling in certain areas, they're adjusting, they're focusing on those things, coming out the next game, improved in the area where they weren't as good as they wanted to be. Basketball is one of those games that does that. It ebbs and flows, even within a game where a team comes out big. Unless you're in Kansas, Duke, you don't usually keep your foot on their throat for 40 minutes. All other 330-something teams in Division 1A basketball, they don't do that every single game. That's where Alabama's trending upwards when they're got to get to. But until they get there, we've got to focus on some of the things where are we making adjustments? Are we improving? Are we doing those things where we're not doing fixing the next game? And Alabama's doing a lot of that.
Can I put it to you like this? And me and Dave are probably starting to diverge a little bit, where I'm a little bit in between you guys, because You see a game like Mississippi State. Yes, we won. We almost beat Tennessee. We beat Kentucky. We beat Ole Miss. We've pulled off some great stuff. But just when you believe and you're along for the ride, we're going to drop the next game to Auburn. Just when you believe and you're along for the ride, we're going to drop the next game to Baylor. And watching it, it's like, why can we not make a three-pointer? Why can we not make a free throw? I know this team has it. I just don't think they believe because nobody cares. At the end of the day, across Bama Nation, nobody cares.
Well,
and we talked about this before. This team could do it. If they could just pull it together, I think they might be able to be top 3 of the SEC this year if they pulled everything together, because we've already cleared several hurdles. But we're going to drop one the next week, or in the next week we're not going to do three-pointers. We just got to pull it together, because I'm almost there. But it's going to have to be consistent for everybody else to get on board.
Right. Come on in, Adam. The water's fine.
Hey,
I'm sure it is.
To your point, Adam, let's go to our man on the inside. Ben, the schools were all closed. There was no excuse for Tuscaloosa fan or Birmingham fan to say, oh, I've got this or that going on, to not show up to the Mississippi State game. How was the crowd at Coleman Coliseum?
Honestly, the crowd was actually surprisingly good. It filled up at the last minute right before tip-off, but it was a surprisingly good crowd, given you had like sub-freezing temperatures. It was pretty good. The student section set a record. They didn't have class. They had 2,500 students there. Great attendance from the student section. Overall, the crowd I thought was pretty good and comparable to some of our other better attended games this season.
Well, saw. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I saw a post on Twitter. Somebody said there was the prone cobra, but Alabama, across all their sports, football, basketball, it doesn't matter. We bring the new pose, which is the crosshair or the cross-armed blue hair. And they showed a picture of one of the most exciting moments in the game, and it's just a bunch of old people behind the basket sitting back with their arms crossed. That's the problem with going to an Alabama football game. It's one of the reasons Bryant-Denny isn't as intimidating an environment as it needs to be. And I think basketball is going to suffer from that a little bit too, in terms of how the crowd feels. So I don't know that that's really a good metric overall. because of that crowd, right? I'm happy to hear the student section though, because that's a big deal.
Well,
but anyway,
that's not to say crowd noise was perfect throughout the game. If you look at my Twitter feed, I retweeted a point where Aaron Suttles was making, where he said, "Look, Bama just had this amazing dunk, and the room's silent. People aren't jumping up and down, and
right.
that's frustrating. Yeah. And that's something I've articulated before on this show with why it's so important to get Coleman renovated, and that's why it's frustrating. It's going to be 4 more years before it is renovated.
That's why I say blow it up and start all over again.
So what are you going to do when it's renovated? Pipe in crowd noise like you do during Dixieland Delight?
Hey, that I've heard worse ideas.
Auburn.
I've heard worse ideas. Well, the great thing is the student section, instead of being like one little portion of the corner, will actually be all along the sideline. I've got to sneeze.
Bless you.
Sorry. So you'll have everything. You'll have all the students along the sideline, one entire sideline of the court, and that's going to be an opportunity to make more noise and affect the games. But, I tweeted it out. I retweeted Aaron, and I said, this is why we can't have nice things. And, you guys want to get a better coach than Avery Johnson. There's a lot of coaches that go, well, I don't want to go to a place where they don't cheer. Bama put a good product on the court against Mississippi State. It wasn't perfect, but the product was good, and the crowd could have been a lot louder, and the crowd could have been more appreciative.
You know why? Okay, the crowd could be more appreciative. I'll give you that. But going into an Alabama basketball game is the exact same thing that Adam brought forth just a couple of minutes ago. The fans, the students, don't know what they're going in to get. I know you hate when we do this, Ben, but we're going to bring forth a football reference here.
Here we go.
There's
no other way you can do it.
Well, no, but think about this. When you go into Bryant-Denny Stadium, probably 85 to 90% of what you're going to get.
Yeah, the student section's going to leave at halftime.
No, on the field. I'm talking about on the field. On the field, the team is going to be ready. They're going to play to their best potential. They're going to play to the team that they're playing against. They're prepared for what they're going to see. The fans going into Coleman Coliseum don't know if they're going to see a good shooting night from Petty. Are they going to see a road Petty? Are they going to see a 6% from the free throw line? Are you going to see a 30% from the 3-point line? Are you going to see a 6% from 3-point? Are you going to see this?
Dave, look.
So that's
Dave,
the problem.
Listen, Dave. The fans may not know what to expect at the beginning of the game, but the fans know what a dunk is. Don't sell the fans short. They know what a dunk is, and they know what a good dunk is versus like a layup. So the fans should get excited about a dunk, and the fans weren't doing that last night. Don't forget whatever your expectations are. You should be able to stand up and cheer for a really awesome dunk. Dante Hall's dunk was the number one play on the top 10 plays on SportsCenter. The rest of the country knew it was good, but nobody in Coleman Coliseum reacted like that.
Adam had his hand up.
I actually have a point to make that's not related to football. May I have the floor?
Yes, Adam.
So I call a little bit of BS on the whole we need to renovate thing, and I'll tell you why. Avery has the talent to beat a lot of the SEC right now. It's finding a way to get that talent to do what they need it to do. I'm a little bit of a believer. You see that? A little bit. We're on video. I know you guys on the podcast can't see that, but I'm a little bit of a believer. Here's why I know that it's going to have to be a consistently good season in order for people to be excited about basketball and cheer at a dunk. Because I've been in that same Coleman Coliseum at the national championships for women's gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
Loudest crowd I've ever heard in Coleman Coliseum. When they hit a whatever you call it on the floor exercise and landed their last one, it went nuts in there. The problem is exactly what Dave's saying. Well, maybe not exactly because I don't want to give him too big of a head. So along the lines of what Dave was saying.
Exactly what I was saying.
Is the stuff's not consistently good. And so you get kind of, okay, we're going to scoring drought. Now there's 10 minutes we didn't score. We're getting frustrated again. Oh, look, we made a dunk. If it was consistently good, you could bring that because women's gymnastics did the same thing in the same building when we were there, 98 to 2002. And so it can be done. It's just got to be where you bring out that consistent product or people just aren't going to care, especially not when you've got other stuff on campus that's consistently providing that high level. So I'm with you, Dave. But I'm also on your guys' side, too. I'm a believer. It's just got to be consistent. If we lose to Auburn, I'm going to go back to Dave's side. That's my warning. Avery, if you're listening, I'm going to become a fog again if you lose to Auburn.
Hey, CJ, I appreciate that you are an Alabama basketball fan who doesn't hang conditions on his fandom. I appreciate that you're going to be a fan of Alabama basketball no matter what happens, and you're going to be hoping for the best. So thank you for being a model fan, sir. CJ. I'm sorry I can't say that for my co-host.
and that's why I had to come be a part of this.
Hey,
I have to get with the level-headed, the true fandom.
Hey, Bama's just so we're clear right now. Just so we're clear right now, Bama's
I just was trying to get the rise. I got it.
just so we're clear right now, Bama is number 5 in the SEC standings. Dave said he'd be on board if Bama could get in the top 4. So, Dave, it could be around the corner. I'm just saying.
Ain't gonna happen.
Ain't going to happen. Well, in that case, let's pick some games for Saturday, February 2nd. It's Groundhog Day. So what's Groundhog Day going to be for Alabama? Let's go ahead and pick these games. The first one is a 1 o'clock tip between South Carolina and Georgia. CJ, lead us off.
Oh, CJ, okay.
CJ, get your picks.
I'm going to go with South Carolina.
Yeah,
I got to go with South Carolina. They've been playing really, really well, and I think they just lost one, but overall their SEC season has been really good. I got to.
South Carolina got exposed against Tennessee last night, but they did everything they could to win that game. So I'm going South Carolina in this one. Adam's on mute.
Oh, gone it. There we go. Battle of the 10 and 10s. I mean, South Carolina seems like their upward trajectory might be better than Georgia's at this point in the season. And I need some road wins for the stake bet. So I'm going with South Carolina.
I am hesitant to pick an away team, but in this case, I think South Carolina is a much better team than Georgia. I like the Gamecocks to get the road win. All right, the battle for Mississippi puts number 22 Mississippi State, fresh off a loss to Alabama, taking on Ole Miss, who fell out of the top 25 after losing to Alabama. Who's going to win this game in Oxford?
Where's the game? Oh, Oxford. Okay.
Oxford.
Is there any word on the knee injury for the Mississippi State guy?
For Witherspoon, I have not heard anything.
I think I'm going to go Ole Miss because it's home, and they've got a pretty rocking arena.
You know, it's hard to win on the road, and I think that that we might have, Adam, a Land Shark piggy bank coming. If we can talk one of our friends of the show, Chris Catron, to go and get one. But even though it's hard to win on the road, I'm going to go with Mississippi State to win this one.
Wow. No, I think they're completely demoralized after losing to Alabama on a good day for Alabama. So I'm actually I would going to pick Ole Miss regardless of injury or anything else. I think they're going to win at home.
I'm in agreement. I'm going to take Ole Miss at home. All right, number 7, Kentucky. They have looked fierce ever since they lost to Alabama. That was the one black eye for them right now. Kentucky's on the road at Florida. What's going to happen in this game?
Kentucky big.
Hey, Ben, who's the road team?
Kentucky is the road team here, Dave.
Okay, it's hard to win on the road, but I'm going to take Kentucky.
Okay.
It's not hard to win on the road when you're Kentucky right now.
What did they do at Memorial Gymnasium?
Gymnasium?
Gymnasium? Sorry. What did they do at Memorial Gym there in Nashville, Ben?
What did Kentucky do?
Yeah, because
I don't recall.
At one point in time, I saw it was 45-13. It's hard to win on the road, isn't it?
I'm actually going to go find the final score now.
Adam, what's your pick?
Kentucky, yeah, all the way.
Kentucky beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah, we know.
So
it was bad
at the gymnasium.
Okay,
gymnasium.
87-52 was the final there.
Riveting.
I was traveling back from Waco, and I really did forget where I was for 3 days. That wasn't the Saturday game. Never mind. Enough excuses. All right.
Mental fatigue.
Did everybody pick? Adam did pick.
Yeah, he picked Kentucky to win.
We've lost control. I'm
going
to take Kentucky with a road win. All right, Arkansas.
Next.
Arkansas taking on number 19 LSU in Baton Rouge.
Go ahead, CJ.
Oh, LSU. LSU. They're playing too good.
I don't want to pick a home team, but I got to pick LSU.
Yeah, it's not the right thing for our stats, Dave, but you got to go with the obvious.
I know.
LSU.
And now I'm scared because there's so much consensus, but I'm gonna make it unanimous and take LSU at home. We'll get to Alabama Auburn in just a minute. Number 1 Tennessee is on the road at Texas A&M.
Tennessee wins. A&M. A&M's gonna make it a game though.
No.
A&M's gonna make it a game. Tennessee's gonna pull it off. They're gonna do what the number 1 team does. They're gonna pull it off.
As you'll hear in my sideline warning, you don't mess with Tennessee fans on Twitter, and you don't mess with the number 1 Tennessee basketball team. Tennessee wins large.
Yeah, I don't know about large. I think it's going to be close, and then the refs will step in. But either way, I've got Tennessee.
The refs really are the key to this game, and that's why I'm picking Tennessee in another road win. This is a really good weekend for Dave to get back in the competition for a stake. All right, then we have Vandy at Mizzou, the nightcap, tipping off at 8:30. What's going to happen in this game in Columbia?
Whew, man, I think Vandy's gonna make one for the road stake bet. I think Vandy's going to go in there and get an upset.
I don't really care who wins this game because these two teams are garbage. I'll take Vandy to win this one.
Where's this game being played?
Columbia, Missouri.
I'm going to take the home team against my better judgment for the stake bet, but I'm going to go with Missouri.
Vandy's not won a game yet in the SEC play. I don't think it's going to happen this weekend either.
Yep.
So I will take Mizzou.
I have to say, if it was at the gymnasium, I might have a different pick, but since it's in Missouri.
Yeah,
Memorial Gymnasium?
Sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
All right, one game left to pick, and I'm going to need not just the winner, I'm going to need the score prediction for the game. It's Alabama on the road at Auburn. 7 p.m. tip.
I almost want to bow out of this one as far as a prediction goes, but I know I can't.
Nope.
What's the word on Austin Wiley? Do y'all know?
He's out.
Potentially.
He's out.
It's kind of a toss-up. Auburn's being sly about it. They said he could be back. Then they were like, whoa, no, it's still going to be a little bit.
Yeah,
So-
everything I've heard says he's out.
So you never know. They didn't have him tonight, and they handled Mizzou quite easily.
Well, let's go.
This hurts, doesn't it, CJ? This hurts,
It
doesn't
does. It does.
Because he wants to say Auburn. That's why it hurts.
No. Golly, because Auburn down there right now, they're so good at home. But Alabama has played well on the road. All right. Alabama's going to keep their focus. Alabama's going to win the game in 87-82.
87-82.
A high-scoring
87-82,
affair.
Alabama on the road.
All right.
Hey, CJ,
Dante Hall has a field day without Austin Wiley there.
CJ, do me a favor. Take
Yeah.
off your crimson color glasses, please, because it's not even going to be anywhere near that. Auburn Coliseum will be rocking. Those students know what they're doing. It's a small Coliseum. It's what a basketball gym needs to be. It's not what Coleman Coliseum is. Coleman Coliseum needs to be blown up and just start all over. The students are right there on the court. Ben, it's not your turn yet.
Well, Dave, you just sound like an Auburn football fan with all your hating on Alabama and loving on Auburn. You sound like an Auburn football fan.
They know what to do. They're doing it right over there.
I've got Auburn winning this one 75-62.
All right, there we go.
The Auburn 3 hurts Alabama like it does every year.
I'm not saying this as a cop out, Dave, but I was literally sitting here and came up with almost those exact same numbers. I think this is going to be a game where the inconsistency is going to hurt us. It doesn't mean that it'll be that way the rest of the year, but this is going to be a little bit of that rubber band back and forth that we've seen all year, and I think it snaps back and hurts us this week. So I've got I'll say 74-65, but I've got Auburn too.
You guys are right to say that it's important to keep Auburn from hitting the three. That is what has caused a ton of trouble whenever Auburn's defeated Alabama in recent years. Now, granted, Alabama was 2-1 against Auburn last year, so Bama could turn in some good performances. If Wiley's not in this game, and that's the way it seems, I think Alabama has some real opportunities to work the ball inside with Dante Hall. The last few games, Tevin Mack has also been great inside the paint, and John Petty's even had some good twos. If Bama can focus on working the ball inside, they can actually dominate this game and open up some opportunities for threes. I think this game is going to be similar to when Kentucky visited Auburn. Not to say that Alabama is Kentucky, because they're not by any stretch, although they did beat Kentucky. But I do think this will be similar in the fact that Alabama can come out strong in the first half, build a lead, carry that lead over into the second half, and then Auburn's probably going to play a little catch-up because that's the great advantage of playing at home. I like Alabama to win this game 82-79.
Wow.
Hey, Adam, did you notice a trend here?
What's that?
The two realistic fans on this podcast
Picked Bama to win.
Picked Alabama to win.
You set that one up too easy.
Yeah, I know.
Dave. Come on,
The
you got to
two
make it harder.
The two realistic fans knew what we've got in Alabama basketball and picked Auburn to win. The two fans that are looking at the world through crimson-colored glasses picked Alabama to win.
Yeah, the optimist picked them and the pessimist didn't. That's how life works out.
The optimist picked them, and
Heaven
the realist
forbid I be a homer on my Homer podcast.
Right.
And that the guy we invited to be another homer along with him is a homer with him.
right?
Right.
All right, so those are the picks. CJ, we're going to let you come on here and do a sideline warning.
Oh, man.
If you don't have one, we'll let Ben go first and then come back to you.
Yeah, come back to me.
Okay, Benjamin.
Just want to point out that Alabama basketball has won 7 of their. They have won the last 7 of their home games versus ranked teams. That's a pretty good accomplishment because that is not something that was happening in previous years. So if you're looking for a positive about Avery Johnson, that's really good. So had to work that in because Dave and Adam want to hijack the show and not let us talk actual statistics about the basketball team. So there's one I had to work in. But my sideline warning is about baseball. This week, ESPN announced that they are canning baseball tonight.
Yeah, no.
ESPN has really struck out, to use the baseball pun, a lot in the last few years. They've remedied some of that by bringing back guys like Chris Berman that I truly love. But
Whoa. Really?
yeah, we'll save that for another show.
Back. Doesn't annoy you?
No, I love Chris Berman. We'll get to that in another show. So they brought Chris Berman back. Here's hoping Baseball Tonight gets the Chris Berman treatment, where they realize just the terrible mistake they've made and the void that they've left in their programming, and they bring back Baseball Tonight. So bring Baseball Tonight back.
Oh, Lord. Okay, CJ, we gave you time. It's on you, buddy.
I'm going to back on the first point made from me on the show. We can all be mad as we want to be about Alabama and the free throw, but take an honest look at the officiating in the Tennessee game from an SEC conference standpoint. Open your eyes to see, could it be in the realm of possibility that the SEC told the refs, do what you can to make sure Tennessee wins this game? Is it in the realm of possibility? I say yes. I think that do I think the refs cost Alabama the game? No, but I do think they officiated in a way that was pro-Tennessee. And I think the SEC had something to do with that. Do I blame the SEC? No, not really. In the sense that it looks good for the conference to have a team ascend to number one that's not your moneymaker in that sport. So I don't really know if it's a sideline warning as much as it is a just trying to hammer home the fact that I do think there was a league home cooking involved in that Alabama-Tennessee basketball game. And again, like I said, even though this is a Bama Homer podcast, and I'm a Bama Homer as there's ever been one, I don't think it had anything to do with Alabama as much as it had to do with Tennessee. So, anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth. It's not much of a sideline warning, but anyway, I know Dave thinks I'm crazy for that, but
no, I think it's a good point, CJ. And we didn't even get to talk about one of my all-time most hated refs, TV Teddy Valentine, that was in the Mississippi State game. So I hope we don't see TV Teddy again this season. But if we do, I'm going to have to dedicate a little bit more time on the podcast to my hatred of TV Teddy.
And the only reason I want to say I bring that point up is because I've seen that done at other levels. As I've coached in a league dealing with high school boys, and I've seen that done. You see referees are often instructed to call a game a certain way, not necessarily to benefit a team. If you look at differences between games and the way games are called, referees have a tremendous amount of impact on a basketball game. And that's where I come up with this almost conspiracy theory. And again, I want to reiterate, it has nothing to do with it being anti-Bama as much as it does pro-Tennessee for the benefit of the league. And I do think that had something to do with how that game was called. I absolutely do. And I'm not trying to take away from the poor free throw shooting and all that sort of stuff. But if you were to go, I've watched the game again. It is crazy how one-sided the calling is early. I don't know. If you get a chance, go back and watch it. Give it a go. Tell me what you think. Tell me if I'm crazy after you watch the game.
I'll say this, CJ. I want to say I understand that you think that, because a lot of people can agree with your thought and your take there. But opening and saying that is opening Pandora's box, because what is 99% of the SEC or football fans' complaint against the SEC in football? Oh, they're just pro-Alabama in the way they referee. So if we say that the basketball refs are pro-Tennessee, then we also have to look at the SEC football refs and say it's pro-Alabama.
Dave, this is sideline. These are the sideline warnings. We don't get rebuttals.
Okay. I just
off the soapbox,
Right.
Dave.
okay.
I will say this for your rebuttal. Alabama's defense had the least number of penalties called against their opponents all season long.
Stop. You're validating people's thoughts. Stop.
I'm just saying that. I mean, but to sort of go back to my point on that, if there were another SEC team other than Alabama that was in a game to possibly ascend to number one, do you think they would get calls in their favor? I bet they would.
Okay, this is going to get turned into a long conversation. We're going to stop it here.
All right, I'm done.
All right, Adam, hit us with your sideline warning.
So since you got a rebuttal, Dave, I get one too towards Ben. You said we weren't using statistics to talk. I believe the whole point I made was based around statistics. So hush. All right, now on to mine. So huge checkbox into my Never Dabo campaign was this past week. We already knew that I think it was 3 out of 20 of the Clemson players, one of whom was a starter, tested positive for a PED that is actually an illegal substance in the United States of America. But Clemson came back and announced that they are not going to do any further testing of the rest of the team. After 15% of the sample, of which I believe there's like 115, let's just say, players on the full roster, that would be 20 to 25, I believe, people on the whole team that could potentially test positive if that percentage holds true. It's hard to believe that percentage wouldn't hold true, at least you'd be in the double digits if 3 people got a hold of it, one of whom was a starter. So I say shame on Clemson for not doing anything further to find this out. It feels a lot like Ohio State in that they're not doing anything because they're afraid of what they'll find, or at least they might even know what they would find. And then they would find out that it wasn't mental fatigue. It was super power juice that the other team was taking that beat Alabama in the national championship game. They just didn't get caught because they weren't some of the 20 that got randomly tested. But talking stats, when a random sample ends up with 15%, you can assume that pretty confidently that goes with the rest of the population. So Clemson should have just done the right thing, stepped up, tested everybody else, took their licks, and admitted they were wrong. And the fact that even got into the system of 3 of the players on the team, something that is illegal in the United States and a banned substance, not just in sports, but banned by the government, by the FDA, it just speaks to why Dabo will never be a good fit at Clemson, the fact that they don't have control enough to stop that stuff from getting into the hands of their players. So never Dabo.
Never Dabo. I agree with you. Hashtag never Dabo. I am anti-Dabo at the University of Alabama because I agree with you, Adam. I think that some of the things that he does on campus is a little suspect, and I don't want that at Alabama.
Yep.
I'm going to do a true sideline warning. I don't know if you call it what I got. I got antsy this weekend, and I guess on Twitter I was looking for a fight, and I was looking to be a troll.
Who, you?
Yeah, right. Who, me? But a sports writer out of Dallas who was retweeted by Michael Casagrande this weekend, said that the exact quote from his original tweet said, "Can we all agree that Rocky Top is the best college fight song in the land?" Well, that set me off and triggered me in 2 separate ways. One, I hate Rocky Top. I hate Orange. I'm not a dog person. Their whole stadium looks like a garbage truck worker convention. So that made me mad to begin with. But then, as a former band member, and CJ, I think you can agree with me on this, when the lay college football fan of a team doesn't know the fight song, doesn't know the actual cheers of a team, it makes you mad. And even if it's not your team, it sets you on a tirade. Rocky Top is not Tennessee's fight song, everybody. Their fight song is actually called Down the Field. They play it once at the beginning of all their pregame march. Then they play Rocky Top 6 billion times during the game. So, to my dismay, in my troll mindset, I just tweeted this gentleman back and said, "No, Rocky Top is not Tennessee's fight song. Therefore, it is not the greatest fight song in the land." Well, my warning to everybody is don't piss off Tennessee Twitter Nation, Because you are going to get so many notifications on your Twitter feed that it's going to keep you up at night. I have never had that many retweets, that many tweets at me, that it was bad. It was bad. So before you tweet, think. That is my sideline warning. Think before you tweet.
All right, gentlemen, in all of the football and basketball fervor, we forgot about one more football story that we actually need to discuss.
Uh-oh.
It's a little thing they call the Super Bowl.
We got a PS, don't we?
We've got to pick the Super Bowl. I need a score prediction and a winner on this one as well. CJ, can you throw us one of those?
Patriots, 35-28.
All touchdowns.
All touchdowns.
Dave, what do you got?
Jonte Hightower already has 2 rings in the NFL. There's another Alabama football player that doesn't have a ring that's playing in this game. Mark Barron gets his ring because we all know that Tom Brady is not the best quarterback to ever play in the NFL. He is not a good quarterback. I would never want Tom Brady on my team. I'm going the Los Angeles Rams 38-24.
Dave, I'm pretty sure you've set the record for most wrong in 60 minutes.
That's awesome.
Do you want Tom Brady as the quarterback of your Green Bay Packers right now over Aaron Rodgers?
Well, no. But
okay.
That doesn't conclusively prove that you wouldn't want Tom Brady in almost every situation.
Adam, over Dak Prescott, would you want Tom Brady?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, man. That's actually a great idea.
Look, there's Aaron
Rodgers.
Rodgers.
I'd be down for that. I'm a Cowboys guy, and I'd be down for that.
Aaron Rodgers and Drew
Brees. And I like
Brees.
Dak.
Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees are the only guys where you wouldn't be like, yes, definitely, I want Tom Brady.
Okay, Adam, give me your pick.
I can't wait for the. I actually can't wait for the Super Bowl. So all the Saints fans will. Well, I guess they probably won't. Stop whining. But I'm actually going to go with the Rams on this one too. I think it's going to be a 27-24.
37-24, you said?
27-24. Don't get carried away. Not that much. Benjamin?
I think the question is, will the Patriots dynasty look more like Alabama last year against Georgia, or will it look more like Alabama this year versus Clemson? I think it's going to look a little bit more like Alabama versus Georgia. LA is going to make it close, but the Patriots are going to come out on top. I like them to win this game in a high-scoring affair, 42-38.
So you know how many times Tom Brady has been to the Super Bowl? This is his, 9th time?
I believe so.
He's only won 4 of them. So if he loses this, he's a 4-time Super Bowl loser. And we're calling him the greatest quarterback in the NFL history?
Dave, what quarterbacks have more wins in the Super Bowl?
I don't know.
Sound like me with baseball the other day.
Take him off of the Patriots. Take him away from Bill Belichick. Does he do the same thing?
We're not doing this again. We're literally not doing this again. You've already set the record for most wrong in an hour. The show's over, Dave. Let's put a bow on it.
All right. If you want to get a hold of the show and tell us everybody how right I am about Tom Brady, Adam, how do they get a hold of the show?
931-44 Blitz. Tell Dave how wrong he is. Tell us if you agree with CJ. Wrong. Tell us if you agree with CJ. Tell us if you agree with me, obviously, because you will, or what you think about what Ben said. Could Dave be any more wronger than he's been in the last 60 minutes? Call us and let us know.
You literally were wrong, Dave. You said he had 4 Super Bowl wins. He's got 5.
See?
So in his previous 8 games of the Super Bowl, he's 5-3. Who doesn't sign up and say, yes, I want that quarterback? And he's got he's a 4-time Super Bowl MVP. So
he shouldn't have been that one year Malcolm Butler was MVP.
4 of the 5 times.
Tom Brady got
4 of the 5 times he won the Super Bowl, he was the most valuable player. He's been a 3-time NFL most valuable player. This is just absurd. Just absurd.
So anyway, like I was saying, 931-44 Blitz. Give us a shout.
Oh man! If you want to get a hold of us on Twitter, you can get a hold of the show at SW the Show. I am at DAdams419. He is at the Ben Foster, and he's usually wrong on Twitter. And Adam is at Runtide Run. I see that look, Ben. I see that look.
I'm the only substantive tweeter
No, I tweet a lot
in all of Twitter.
I tweet a lot, but apparently I'm wrong this weekend. Also, the show is on Instagram. We're at SW The Show. Find us on Facebook. We're on the Facebook.com SW The Show, Facebook.com/SW The Show. We're also join the Facebook fan group at Facebook fan group. What is it, CJ? It's Facebook fan groups, Sideline Warning fan group.
Sideline Warning fan group.
There you go.
Sideline Warning fan group.
There you go, guys. Join us on all the socials. Find us. Interact with us. We love it. We love it when CJ comes on. CJ, thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah.
We enjoy having you on because you bring a breath of fresh air, even though you agree with Ben. Ben needs a comrade on this because he's usually in the outs on all this. So we do appreciate you having you coming on with us this week. But guys, we say it every week, and we do truly mean it. We love you. We'll see you next week. And roll tide. And by the way, Ben, I'm trying to get on Twitter and be a true basketball fan. And you get on to me for getting on to somebody about being a fog.
You called Alabama Pro Updates, which literally covers everything from like swimming and women's soccer. You called them a fog. Like 90% of what that account does is not related to football because that account covers so much more than football. And you call them a football only guy. You couldn't have been more wrong. It's stunning.
It's stunning.
I was trying to be so good, Ben.
Stunning.
Oh, I'm on SEC Network, and Jimmy Dykes is saying Dante Hall should be first team All SEC. The double machine.
Yeah, who was that was saying that? What game was that? Was that Mississippi State that they kept calling him the double machine? I was like, shut up. No, it was Ole Miss.
What? Okay, why do you hate them saying good things about our players?
Well, it's not that they're saying good things. It's just that they kept saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over. It's like, shut up.
Have you watched anything on ESPN lately?
I'm just saying Jimmy Dykes really likes Alabama. He gets it.
Well,
good for him.
Good for him. I'm glad somebody does when it comes to basketball. Do you see me?
I don't see you.
That's weird.
I don't see Dave or CJ.
My video's working. Adam, do you see me?
No.
I'm like John Cena. You can't see me.
Now
I see CJ.
This
Dave.
is good. I'm cool with this.
Yeah, this works.
Cool. Oh, dang it. Dave's up now.
No, I think
one take, Dave.
Something like that.
Not last week.
No, last week was horrible.
That's what we call him outtake Dave.
Outtake Dave.
There you go.
EO.
And then basketball debate. Where first off, we'll let CJ defend himself.
He doesn't have to defend himself. He's our guest. He just has to make his point.
Well, but I
the guy who agrees with him.
Dave, you're the one that has to make a defense.
I'm regretting the stake bet that we took. That it was if it's exactly 500, I win. I should have said something along the lines of. I was thinking about it tonight.
You
should have said something along the line. Yeah, believe it or not. It should be that if it is the point that you guys are making that it's harder to win on the road in the SEC, like just hard to, or harder than in other conferences.
Ben, you're the one that's
the quote that set everything off was, "It's hard to win on the road in the SEC." That was not a comparative statement. It was just a rule of thumb that has been repeated and passed down through the ages.